for virtual conferences is required, and instructors will receive a copy of the list of attendees. Please ensure that your name is listed correctly in your Zoom ID so that it will show up for your instructors. We'll get started in 1 minute here. Okay, everybody, it's 11 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to introduce the two faculty who are leading our panel discussion today. First, Ms. Helena Ferguson, who is anthropology faculty here at Midlands Technical College, and she'll will be working with Dr. Brian Graviton, geography faculty here at Midlands Tech.
Thank you, TJ, for that lovely welcome, and welcome everybody to our panel discussion surrounding food insecurities here in the Midlands. Now I want to introduce our panelists that are joining us today. We have 6 panelists from both inside and outside the college that come from departments and organizations that deal with food insecurity issues in our surrounding community. At the top of the panel, we have Ms. Quinn Hayes, the Midlands Development Specialist for Harvest Hope Food Bank, South Carolina's largest food bank. We have Miss Jan Jakes and Miss Ava O'Brien, both from the English department. Miss Jake is our English department chair, and both of them are involved in our very own right here at Midlands Tech Sunshine Closet. Both a representative and founder of the Sunshine Closet, which is dedicated to helping students at Midlands Tech directly impacted with food insecurities and other needs. We have Mr. Gordon Shell, the Associate Director of Food Share of South Carolina. And Food Share of South Carolina is a nonprofit dedicated to providing healthy, fresh produce to communities across South Carolina. We have Ms. Muffy Allison, a counselor from Midlands Tech Counseling and Career Services, a department aimed at providing various types of counseling to Midlands Tech students. And our last panelist, Zachary Hernstadt, the SNAP Ed project coordinator at USC's Arnold School of Public Health. Now I'm going to go ahead and get us started today and get us rolling, and then Dr. Graviton will be taking over the panel questions. So let's go ahead and get started. Food insecurity is a real issue that's affecting our community. And so in turn, it does affect our students here at Midlands Tech and our students' families. Due to the challenges and the hardships that are associated with the COVID-19 pandemic, this has made an already very serious issue worse. We are going to start our discussion today with Ms. Hayes from Harvest Hope, who can give us some real numbers surrounding the food insecure in our community. Ms. Hayes, Harvest Hope is the largest food bank in South Carolina. Can you provide us with some real-time numbers? How many people are suffering from food insecurities right now in our community?
So right now, and I'll put this in perspective, prior to COVID, we normally serve about a little over 7,000 individuals in a month. But the first week of COVID, we served 9,000 individuals. The second week, we served 12,000 individuals, and we've been holding steady with about over 3,000 every single week. And we're currently in our peak season, so we anticipate those numbers to skyrocket as well.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hayes. Dr. Graviton, I'm going to turn it over to you for the rest of the panel questions.
All right, so we came up with the faculty on the panel, Helena, Leah, TJ, and myself came up with some questions to kind of guide the conversation, but we definitely want it to be a conversation discussion. So feel free to jump in at any point and take us on a different track if you think that's where you want to go. The first question we had was really kind of a conceptual question. How does your organization define food insecurity? And I thought maybe we'd start with Zach, if you're ready to jump in there.
Absolutely. So we tend to just really use the USDA definition, which is essentially a lack of consistent access to an adequate amount and variety of food that's of an acceptable quality. And we also like to add in there culturally appropriate food. So not just any type of food, but food that is appropriate to your background. And then we tend to look at degrees of food insecurity, and in most cases, it can kind of be split into a couple groups. So folks that are experiencing low food security, and then those that are experiencing very low food security. And really the difference between those two designations would be those experiencing low food security they're seeing a reduction in the quality and the variety and the desirability of their diets, but aren't necessarily seeing an overall quantity of the food that they're consuming go down. They aren't necessarily seeing their normal eating patterns disrupted substantially. If you're experiencing very low food security, on the other hand, then you would be experiencing some disrupted eating patterns, some reduced food intake due to lack of money or other resources, regularly having to make a decision, for instance, between, buying an adequate amount of groceries and paying your utility bill, for instance. So that's really how we tend to view it.
Would somebody else like to jump in and kind of follow up on how they see food insecurity in their organizations? Do you guys use the same standards that Zachary's talking about here?
I'll jump in, Brian. We use a similar definition as well, but really when we're talking about food insecurity, we're talking about our neighbors who don't know where their next meal is coming from. So that's our seniors, that's our military and affiliated veterans and so forth. So it's everyone. So hunger doesn't look like what we think it is. It's hard to recognize.
How about here at MTC? We've got Jan, Muffy, and Eva. How do y'all define food insecurity?
It's any student who needs food, either while they're on campus or away from campus. We have had in the past a large portion of homeless students that we have helped. And so we've also had groups of students who have attended Midlands Tech, been promised some things that didn't come to fruition, bought gift cards to Subway, because there's a Subway on campus and there was a Subway within walking distance to where they were living. And so for us, it's any person who suffers or needs food of any type that we can help in any way. Muffy or Jan, do y'all have anything to add?
You pretty much summed it up, Eva. We've been working pretty closely with Eva and Jan, we being in the Counseling and Career Services area, with the Sunshine Closet and with Harvest Hope. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, purchasing the boxes, we did that initially, purchased boxes through Harvest Hope, which had some really great things in it for students that they could take with them to prepare at home. We kind of reevaluated things because we had to think about that. What if they didn't have a home? If there were items in there that were canned goods, how were they going to open it? How were they going to heat it? Things like that. So we came up with another plan where now we're just providing things that they can eat at that time, at the moment, because a lot of times they come, they're just hungry right then. So we have kind of more snacks or whatever right now, something that'll get them through the day and not so much as long term, but we're still trying to iron iron that out as well. And we usually just make the referrals, of course, to Harvest Hope. I wish there was a way that we could even provide transportation or some kind of, because a lot of times they don't even have transportation to get there.
Well, when it was established, when the Sunshine Closet was established in 2009, it was the result of a service learning project from a freshman seminar student. We found that there were several students whose families were not going to have meals for Thanksgiving. I think it's very appropriate that we're doing this at the very time that our Sunshine Closet was established. And so we ended up between two classes providing 8 huge meals for those 8 students whose families, not just the students, but their families were food insecure. And then some other things happened. Now we're members of the College and University Food Bank Alliance, thanks to Tom Ledbetter, who has been a champion for the Sunshine Closet since its inception. And so the College and University Food Bank Alliance, we felt, gave us the credibility that we needed in order to be, recognized. And so, but we provide for any student whatever they need. And we have, like, I personally have put students in my car and taken them to the grocery store and bought food for them and taken them home. So it's just whatever they need.
So it sounds like we've got a lot of examples here of that really extreme food insecurity. Gordon, I wonder if you might jump in and tell us a little bit about food share, and maybe that gets us back to some of those cultural desirability kind of health things that Zach also mentioned at the start.
Sure, thanks so much. Yeah, Food Share is is set up to be it's a bi-weekly program where individuals, families, seniors can purchase a box of fresh fruits and vegetables. We source from the South Carolina Farmers Market, and our focus is to give folks access to healthy food that they may not otherwise have access to because of where they live, because of lack of a grocery store or lack of transportation to get to a grocery store. It's only fruits and vegetables. That's kind of our hula hoop that we stay in. With many of those items, they are going to be, able to be consumed as is, primarily fruit or some vegetables. But we also have things that, obviously would need to be taken home and be prepared. You could, chomp on a raw potato if you wanted to, but it's not going to be as good as, cooking that potato. We don't limit participation, to our program. Anybody who wants to buy a box can buy a box. But our primary focus are serving those individuals that are lower wealth, that are going to be struggling economically, and we sort of gauge, are we hitting our target by what percentage of our food boxes every 2 weeks are purchased by using SNAP EBT. And as long as we're in that 55 to 70% range, we know we're hitting our target. We also realize there are many individuals, many families who they're working, they have the jobs, they make a little bit too much to qualify for SNAP. So just because someone's paying for the box with cash doesn't mean that they're not still in need of that program, because they can't afford, otherwise. Real quick description, then I'll kind of pass it on and see what other questions that maybe would need to be answered. But we started off in 2015. Our primary box, we have a large and a small. The large box is going to contain about 18 to 22 pounds of fresh produce. If someone's paying for that with cash, it's $20. If they're paying for it with food stamps, with their SNAP, they get it for $10. And then we utilize the matching funds available through DSS and the Healthy Bucks Fund that can help, subsidize, help cover costs for families that are purchasing produce using EBT. So a family, an individual can get 20 pounds of fresh fruits and vegetables for $10 off of their EBT card. We found once we got into the program, after a couple of years, we have lots of seniors where maybe that's too much for them. So our smaller box, which is about a 12 by 12 cube, is about 12 to 15 pounds of fresh produce, 15, 16 pounds of fresh produce, and that is $5 on their SNAP. or if they're paying for it with cash, it's $15. So it's providing, easy access, affordable access to fresh produce that may not be available to them otherwise through through what they have resources to get. And we also include a recipe card in each box with healthy recipes on how to prepare that food in a healthy way. Unlike many means of cooking and ways of cooking that we all grew up with, it's not always the most healthy thing. So we're wanting to guide some folks into making healthier choices with what they access to eat and how they prepare it. Just to help address those health issues that we often see with food insecurity, with chronic health conditions that pop up, diabetes, hypertension, obesity, when individuals don't have access to healthy food.
Well, when we first started, we offered like pre-planned meals. Like we would give pasta and spaghetti sauce and maybe like green beans. We would give 5 to 7 meals a week, okay, to students. And we had work studies who also, so that helped employ some of our students who were also needy. We, at our peak, we served about 40 per month. So, and we were housed in an office. So now we're in counseling services, because counseling services can offer support that the work study students could not offer. And we've had to change our focus where we're now more like snack oriented. So we're really not meeting the needs of the students that needs to be met, but we're meeting what we can at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of done a flip flop from where it began.
I have a question about one of the general themes that was introduced, and that is the impact of COVID on what we're all trying to do. Mm-hmm. I know for Harvest Hope, there was a mechanism already set up for distribution, and it's just simply impacted you all in terms of numbers and fundraising and getting volunteers to help out. But for everyone else, we live in a very restrictive transportation desert. Really, it's not like a place that has absolutely wonderful mass transportation. How do you all deal with the issue now with transportation? Has it always been an issue, or is it even more of an issue these days? At Midlands Tech, because a lot of our students have gone virtual, we find contacting them and meeting their needs even more of a challenge. But those of you who work with larger scale, how does that impact you all?
I could add from the food share program, and our we were averaging probably around 400 boxes every 2 weeks pre-COVID. Now we're doing anywhere from 750 to 850 boxes every 2 weeks. And we certainly have seen a need for a change in our process because of COVID. We still have the ability for folks to come in to our brick and mortar location, walk in, order their box for the next time. Keeping distant, masks are required to walk in our door. But we have changed our curbside, our pickup to curbside only. When someone who has ordered a box that is going to pick it up from our primary location, we meet them curbside, we pop it in their trunk, we're masked up, we're gloved up. We wanted to keep that distance. We've opened up the ability for folks to just order over the phone with us. They don't have to physically come in and place their order in person, whether it be, and they'll just pay for it. They'll pay for the cash box when they come in, pick it up. We also have two other means by which people can access the box. In addition to our main location, we have about 25, 28 partners, what we call partner sites throughout the community, where it may be a church, it may be a clinic, it may be another location closer to where someone lives, where they order their box from that location, pick up their box from that location, so they don't have to drive into town or drive to our main spot. And then we also have a program by which we will do deliveries. This is primarily for seniors or folks that may have other reasons why they can't come to us. We're connecting volunteers who want to help out with individuals who want to access the box that don't have a way to come get it, or they're just not comfortable coming to get it because of COVID. And we will deliver the box to their house. More often than not, it's ringing the doorbell, on the porch, we back up, they open the door, they take it inside, to keep that, safe distancing, because of COVID.
Janice, I also wanted to add too that I know you brought some highlights up about Harvest Hope, but a lot of people just see the line. They're not thinking about the other implications that we had to address, as many had to, COVID's definitely changed the game for all of us. So, we're not acting, operating at full capacity by any means. I mean, on any given day, we have 150 volunteers in our building, and that's not happening. We have like 5. And so many of us have to get from behind the desk because we were open 5 days a week, and we just couldn't meet the demand. The demand, food banks across the states are 50% or more of an increase. And just like Gordon just shared, they're seeing that in their numbers too. So it's not just our events that got canceled or fundraising or having to go curbside as well. It was, we have 18 fleets of trucks that go out every day. And when COVID hit, all of them went out and collectively brought back 400 pounds of food. We rely heavily on donations for what we do. We only purchase food for 2 of our programs. And so just like you, when you were going to the grocery store and there was no toilet paper and paper towels and meat and other things, we were experiencing it at a far scale as well. With one truck can go out and bring back over 700 pounds of food. So it really puts it in perspective about the various ways, not just the line, but also behind the scenes with our volunteers not coming into the building. And we're still not, we have 5 people in the building right now as volunteers compared to 150 that we normally have. So we definitely had to change how we operated to meet the demand, but also, COVID's changing everything. So every day we're dealing with variables, so.
I want to follow up on that funding question or the funding comments that you're making up here. So in terms of grants, donations, have you seen a big drop off or more opportunities? What's going on there with funding for your programs?
Well, for us, a lot of our major events, like many people know, Stamp Out Hunger or Food from the Heart, those are major events that we get more money and more food in one day than sometimes what we can potentially almost get in a year. So those things change. We had many donors step up, but in the beginning, again, we had to shift everyone from doing in-person things to packing events to virtual fundraising and so forth. So Jim Hudson was a major player too. We normally do a big thing with them every year. They had to change how they did their annual campaign in support of us because it's in connection to selling cars. So people aren't buying because people don't have jobs. So we had to shift it. So we just rallied the entire community around giving, and then Jim Hudson matched whatever the community raised. He matched those dollars, dollar by dollar. And so that was huge for us. And we've continued to have, as you all know, there were several grants that were available to anyone that was serving food. The SC Enact program, many donors, not donors, but many organizations were able to tap into those funds. So I think that there has been overwhelming support from our neighbors and donors and organizations that see the line, that see the need, and see how our various organizations can be supported during this time, because we all are doing 50% or more than what we would normally do.
All of our donations come from just people giving out of the goodness of their heart. Yeah, we don't even have a campaign set up where they can donate to the Sunshine Closet. So most of the time, like Jan, Dr. Jake, she used to see me in the hall, or Michelle Ergel, and they'd say, "Oh, here, take this. This is for you to deposit for the Sunshine Closet," or whatever. And we would just use it as we saw fit. So ours is just all donation. That's all. From primarily faculty. Students sometimes gave, but it's difficult for them.
This year, we also have another project we do, MTC Reads. We try and read a common book every year. And this year we're doing Notes from a Young Black Chef by Kwame Onwuachi. And so we had the idea of tying in different events related to food and food insecurity, because even Chef Kwame experienced food insecurity, at least on the low end of food insecurity by that definition, growing up. So what we've done this year to try and to sort of match what the Sunshine Closet used to do when Carol Mosley and Eva and everybody used to run that. We're having people donate to create Thanksgiving meal boxes for our students, and we just had a few more students sign up today, so we're up to 30 students, 30 families that we're providing Thanksgiving meal boxes for, and we're giving them the perishables, and then we're going to provide a gift card so they can choose their own protein and supplement things for a local grocery store. So we're going to put those boxes together on Monday. We'll be shopping this weekend.
Did you
But
say you have 30?
we have 30 student households, and we have, I believe, over $700 or something. No, maybe more than that, closer to 800 as of this morning. So I think, so the leftover money go to a Sunshine Closet, I guess.
Jan brought something up earlier, which is interesting to me as a geographer, which is sort of the spatial dynamics of this. So food deserts, and then also identifying your service communities. And so how do y'all go through that process of identifying your communities? And then does the idea of food deserts really resonate with what you do?
Absolutely. For Harvest Hope, we serve 20 out of the 46 counties in South Carolina. And so we couldn't do this work without the many churches, soup kitchens, after school programs. We work with over 400 of them that help us push out the food in rural areas. And so had it not been for them, many of our neighbors may not necessarily be able to get physically to Harvest Hope. So that again brings up the transportation issue that we just talked about a minute ago. But by means of those leveraging partnerships and having that many organizations collectively working together to identify needs and then going through the process to become one of our agencies, then we're able to push more food out because of all of those partners. So just like Muffy talked about the boxes that they get from us, that's serving a population that we may not touch, or that rural area that's out in, the low country that we're able to access by means of those partnerships. So again, none of this work can be done alone. It's by means of partnerships that we really, sharpen each other's sword and truly are a means of encouragement to continue in this fight together and alongside one another.
And the Food Share South Carolina program, it began here in Columbia, in 2015, but we have since expanded into 9 different counties. At this point, we have our strategic plan is over the next 5 years, we'll be in 30 additional counties. But we're in Greenville, we're in Spartanburg, we're in Lee County, we're in Kershaw County, we're in Lancaster. We're just, have someone who came on board to help replicate the program in Chesterfield. So our goal is to, focus on South Carolina as a whole, and primarily especially as we get into those more rural counties, we all know how those options for, access to healthy food just becomes, slimmer and slimmer. So through the partners that we're working with, a different nonprofit, fiscal agent, each of those communities that I named and the ones that we'll be continuing to build, help establish the program to serve that specific community and those outlying rural areas where they are.
May I pose a question that's not listed?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. How would it be, Mr. Shell, if we at MTC were able to identify students who needed those fresh foods? Could we set up a way that we could get those things and distribute them to our students, the boxes?
Sure, there are a couple of different ways, and certainly let's circle back, and connect, offline, after this.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are 2 different ways. The information can be provided to those students, and they can come directly to us, or we could work with you, and someone at Midlands Tech could be a point person to coordinate collecting the orders, communicating that to us, and then someone can come to our location and take boxes back to campus where students can pick them up there. So yeah,
Okay, thank you.
you got it.
On that note, and this is a bit of a retread because you all brought up a lot of what you do, but could each of y'all just give us a quick short list of the services you provide and how someone would go about getting those services if they're in need? Why don't we start with the MTC folks? How would someone go about getting in touch if they're in need, and what are the services exactly that you provide?
Who wants to answer that? Muffy, you want to answer it? Or you want me to?
Services as far as just the services that we provide in counseling and career services, or is it just related to the food?
No, how do they get in touch? That's what.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
I think both is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So we have full-time counselors staffed on both airport and Beltline campuses. Right now, we are meeting the needs of students like we're doing now via Zoom, phone, or sometimes in person. I don't mind the in-person contact. But we offer services for students with disabilities. We offer personal counseling, career counseling if they're undecided about what they want to be when they grow up. Also, we under our umbrella is job services, student employment services, basically, if they are seeking help with a resume, or we can go through some interviewing techniques with them, that kind of thing. So an array of services. We don't do ongoing counseling. We we refer out into the community with that, but definitely, because we don't diagnose. But we have a lot of students with various types of disabilities and diagnoses, and so we kind of stay in contact with all of our people within the community, so we can make that contact for the students. So.
But the students find out about the Sunshine Closet through faculty, through counseling services. It's also run on the VNN screens during, during the school year. They get emails from what is it called, like Constant Contact, or whoever, whoever sends out the emails. I'm not sure. To the students. And I think there's even a post on there, used to be on the student resources page, but I'm not 100%. And public relations is good about trying to put things out as well.
The English department probably sees almost every student who comes to campus, at least when they're freshmen, because everybody needs that gen ed core. And so we're always pushing out contact information about counseling services and the different things they do, so they understand that it really is a way to sort of solve problems when they meet some kind of barrier, instead of like just stopping to reach out to counseling and try and figure out a way to get around it. So we definitely push counseling services a lot. And we do let them know that for short-term need, there's somebody there and they'll help them work on the longer term too. So.
And then for us, you can always go to our website, harvesthope.org. But we have several programs. We're currently serving our neighbors Monday and Wednesday from 9 to 1. So if you have anyone that's in need, I would highly recommend that you tell them to get there before 1 o'clock, because the line normally wraps around Beltline almost to the railroad tracks. So it's a tight timeline. We do serve our seniors only the last Thursday of the month. So we do that just for them for that day. But we have mobile pantries, which I spoke about, which is, working with our rural areas, our churches, nonprofits, other organizations to help push out more food. Operation HP is our military affiliated and veteran program. We have Greg's Groceries that we do with Serve and Connect, with those non-perishable boxes go into officers' cars to try to help stabilize families a little longer until they can get food so their children aren't removed from the home. Disaster relief. So I oftentimes ask people to not just box Harvest Hope into just providing food, but really when Allen Benedict courts happen, when government shutdown happened, the flood and all of that, Harvest Hope often more than not been one of the main agencies, one of three or one of whomever that has been called to the table to help and assist. We have our backpack program, which feeds kids over the weekend who wouldn't otherwise know where their next meal is coming from. And so there's Totes of Love in our CSFP that are more senior geared programs.
Quinn, I have a quick question, please.
Yes, ma'am.
How often I've heard different things. How often can a family receive services from you all, like within a week's time?
Prior to COVID, families could get food for 30 days.
Okay.
COVID, they can come every day for as much as they need on Monday and Wednesday. So we don't turn anyone away right now because there's so many in need, you know what I mean? So we're here to serve, and we just ask how many are in their, number of individuals in their home. We used to ask for IDs, and we eliminated that safety issue. So now we just pretty much ask for what county they're coming from, because we have several people that are driving really far sometimes. What was I going to say? Yeah, so we don't turn anyone away.
Okay, thank you.
And I wear a lot of different hats, but one of the things that I do is provide some support to the Columbia Food Policy Committee, which has done a lot of pivoting to, towards more immediate needs around the pandemic. And so just a couple of things as far as how to contact the committee. You can find our contact info on the city website, the City of Columbia website. We also have a Facebook page that we developed a COVID-19 food resource guide that we recently updated for the fall, and that includes info about things like school meals, local produce, other free food resources. Another thing that we've been trying to do and be a part of, over the past few months or 6 months or so, is partnering with various groups around the community to hold a number of food box giveaways. So, partnering with groups like Diane's Call, Axiom Farms, Food Share South Carolina, as well as the city, Richland County. So, for example, this past August, we held one to coincide with the 1-year anniversary of the closing of the Save a Lot grocery store on Hardin Street here in Columbia. And it was really successful. We were able to give away 925 boxes of produce in, the matter of a few hours. So that just really shows, and the need throughout the community. And those are things that we hope to replicate moving forward, but just keep an eye on our website for that information. And then the one other thing that I wanted to plug quickly was the Food Policy Committee here in Columbia. We just started a college food insecurity subcommittee recently, and that's comprised of students and then faculty and staff mentors from U of SC Law School. We have folks from Allen and Benedict and then Columbia College, and would love to have Midlands Tech as a part of that in the future as well. But that is something that I think we're going to see a lot of cool things coming out of in the future there. Students are really working together to do things like destigmatize food insecurity on their campuses. They're promoting and strengthening their food pantries that are located within their institutions, and kind of starting to talk with each other, and then also educate the general public about food insecurity among college students, which is still one of those things that, there's a relatively common misconception that food insecurity isn't something that college students have to deal with, when we know that that's not the case. But these times where, with the pandemic, has been tough for academic institutions to work on. There's so many different things that are on folks' plates, but that's something that we're excited about continuing on and getting as many schools on board with that as possible. And that you can reach out reach out directly to me or anybody on the Columbia Food Policy Committee if you want to learn more about that.
Zachary, is it possible for you to maybe share the resource that you were referencing for COVID resources, free resources to maybe Helena, and Helena can share it with the group? Is that okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to be putting together a list of all of these resources that you guys are giving me, and they're great, and I really appreciate it. So we'll have something for everybody. They'll have them all listed.
I saw a question in the chat that's on our list, so I think it might be a good time to just bring it up, which is what particularly in terms of donations, volunteer time, what can folks do if they want to get involved? And that might also expand to, Zachary, since we have you from USC, like majors or careers that you sort of see from the public health side. So, what can folks do? What can folks do to get involved if they're interested? Maybe start off with the folks at Midlands.
Oh, I thought you were addressing him. What do we need? I don't know if Muffy and Jan and Dr. Carr and Michelle see the same need that I do. What we really, really need is a way to make it students' awareness of publicity, and to see if we can come up with something like the food share program, so maybe we can offer better quality food along with the foods that we offer them, as they just need something to eat while they're on campus.
Further, Eva, space has been an issue for us.
Yes.
As far as when we get the items, where do we store them until the students are able to access them? So that's been an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Been an issue.
Yeah.
Maybe Gordon at the food chair.
Yeah, we you ask, volunteers, yes. Donations, yes. Just like everyone else, we certainly are in need. Our program is a little different from some other programs in that, as I mentioned earlier, the individuals and the families that are accessing the food box, it is a box that needs to be purchased. It's wholesale pricing. We're pretty much buying stuff wholesale price at the farmers market, packing that box, chock full, and then, selling it back out at that wholesale pricing. But we do realize there are individuals that don't have the resources, even with, the $5, that they could use off their SNAP to buy the $15 box, they don't have that $5. And so we are always, welcoming and accepting donations. If people want to buy a box, or make a donation that will allow us to provide a box to a family, at no cost to them. For the folks that are purchasing the box, there's no limit to the number of boxes that they could buy. We see a lot of individuals. It's every 2 weeks. Someone's buying 3 boxes, and they tell us that they're giving 2 of those boxes to their neighbors because they don't have their neighbors don't have those resources. On the volunteer side, COVID has changed it a bit as we are reducing the number of volunteers that we have in any one place at one time. But we're out there packing boxes at the farmers market, on Monday mornings. And so we always, need individuals to help us just with the physical labor of putting produce in those boxes and getting them on the refrigerated truck. And then our distribution day is every other Tuesday. And we've had a great response from U of SC students who are taking a couple of hours off of when they have a break between class and coming out, working for a couple of hours to help put boxes in cars, and then they head back to class or they have other things that they need to do. So that kind of physical labor, we always need folks. And I mentioned our delivery program earlier, where someone can help take a box to someone who's not able to come get it themselves. We currently have, a few more folks that need delivery than we have volunteers that we can match them up with. So those roles are very important to help us to help reduce or help to increase that access for folks that don't have a way to get to us.
Quinn, at Harvest Hope, I know you said you'd reduce your volunteer numbers, and so what do you need, or what can folks do to get involved with Harvest Hope?
Absolutely. Well, we believe that everyone can be a hunger relief hero, and that shows up in several ways, some ways that people don't think. So, of course, donating your monetary contributions are always wonderful. $1 equals 5 meals for us. So a little bit goes a long way with what we do. Our volunteers are always needed. Even though I said that we're only allowing about 5 in the building, that doesn't exclude, we have about 15 that we're allowing or so outside. We have 2 shifts that we break those up in. So when you go on our website under the Get Involved tab, you'll see where we have a calendar of availability in the different places. We also have a location off of Bluff Road that kind of does our sorting and looks at expiration dates and so forth. So that's a larger facility that we definitely always need help in. And then it has our other locations. So if you live like more in the upstate or in the PD area, we have our locations there too in the time slots. And then it's other ways that you don't think of. We use 4,000 plastic bags a day, Harvest Hope. So you can do something as simple as gathering up all your plastic bags that you would throw away or recycle and donate those to Harvest Hope, because those canned goods have to go into something. Reusable bags is huge because many of our rehab centers, homeless, people off the bus or right off the street, normally we serve them as well. So plastic bags don't always do a really good job. So good, sturdy, durable bags would be great as a donation as well, so that we can really serve all the needs of our neighbors in that way. And then uncommon items, whether it's Depends, diapers, formula, toothpaste, toothbrushes, soap, shampoo, all the things that we take for granted are also items that people ask for. So many of us travel, we have plenty of shampoo containers and body wash and soaps that we don't use. You can do something as simple as rallying those things up in your various organizations. Or if you have a giving circle, a sorority, a fraternity, if you're an organization that wants to do a food drive, that's another way that you can help too.
Zachary, I don't know if you can speak to that, but in terms of USC public health, I mean, the program, majors, careers, can you say a little bit about that, or?
Yeah, I can say a little bit. So I'm actually a researcher. I'm housed in the School of Public Health. But so my boss, actually, her name's Carrie Draper. She has an MSW, and she's the PI for the SNAP-Ed team here at U of SC. And there's a lot of I work with a number of folks that are actually social workers that have done a lot of work around food insecurity. I also know that, so my background actually is in sociology. I got my degree, I guess the closest thing would be rural sociology, but a master's in sustainable food systems. And I see a lot of, opportunities to do food systems work, in just multidisciplinary areas, anything from geography to sociology to psychology and social work. So I think it's one of those areas where there are opportunities wherever you go. And but as far as the School of Public Health is concerned, yeah, there is a lot of great work going on around food systems and food insecurity, and definitely out of especially the work that my colleagues and I are doing out of the SNAP-Ed team are good places to start if you're wanting to look into additional work as far as that's concerned.
Okay, great, thanks. We've got about 10 minutes left. So I don't know if we want to go around and folks can kind of share a closing thought or two. Leah, TJ, Helena, is there anything in the chat that really has not been addressed that we really wanted to get in here at the end, or? No? All right. Well, then, would anybody like to kind of help us close out with some closing thoughts here?
Just, I will say, as we're all struggling and tackling COVID, we don't know the moment our numbers change, it'll impact our volunteers and we'll be right back at square one. What Feeding America is projecting is that currently it's about 37 million individuals that are food insecure, and they're anticipating that that will rise up to 50 million. And when we look at child food insecurity right here in the Midlands, we have over 44,000 children that are food insecure right here in our own backyards. And they anticipate that number from going to 11.2 million to 17 million. And so a lot of the work that we've all done collectively to address food insecurity and hunger COVID may undo what we've done. And so those are some hard stats to think about. And we're not even, the weather hasn't changed all the way. We still have flu that we're going to be addressing. So I invite all of you to continue to stay resilient in this work. We have a long road ahead of us, and these stats that are going to come up once we really get the numbers of how our organizations and the states have been impacted as a whole. We're going to have to get back in the trenches a little harder, and many of us are already doing wonderful and good and hard work. So I commend each of you. I thank you for doing this work alongside me. I pray that all of our programs continue to prosper, that the Sunshine group at the college gets more support. Food Share continues to grow. We continue to grow, and hunger will be a thing of the past. So I think one thing that I shared before is that many of our neighbors are hungry and we don't even know it. So hunger can be hard to recognize. So I continue to invite you to challenge and break down your perceptions associated with what you think hunger looks like. And thank you so much for the opportunity for Harvest Hope to be a part of your panel today. And I wish you all the best, and may you and your family stay safe and enjoy the upcoming holiday season if I don't see you before.
I would personally like to say thank you, Quinn. That was very nice. And I really appreciate the social and behavioral sciences and the English department for hosting this and meeting people, you, Dr. Hernstadt and Mr. Shell. And I just look forward to working with each of you in the future and appreciate your time and efforts on behalf of our students at Midlands Tech who suffer with food insecurity. And thank you. Appreciate it. Have a blessed holiday.
I'd just like to thank everybody as well for the opportunity to be a part of the panel today. And I just wanted to zoom out, just quickly and just lift up the fact that COVID has really made it difficult for folks to ignore the challenges and the really deep systemic flaws that we have within our current food system. And those are things that a lot of the folks on this call think about all the time and have thought about for a long time. But there are a lot of folks out there that may not have been on their radar until February or March of this year. And these are issues that are really nuanced. And a lot of times they're complex, but it's pretty clear that our current food system, it's not resilient, it's not equitable, it's not accessible, and it's not sustainable. Now, that's not to say that there aren't corners out there and areas, bright spots. We have folks today that definitely are showing those success stories, but I think that one of the things that we really need to do moving forward is, and once we come out of the other side of this pandemic, we need to continue that work towards creating a food system that's more able to withstand and recover from those disruptions, whether it's another global pandemic, whether it's a catastrophic weather event, anything like that is able to support the food and farm workers, the local economies, just the everyday people out there. And so that's one of the things that, I've been talking with local food policy councils around the state, just the fact that, now is really the time for them to step up and start hopefully leveraging some of that increased, the increased spotlight that the food system has really taken over the past few months, and keep that going. But again, thanks to everybody for the opportunity to chat today. And again, feel free to reach out. I'll share my contact info with folks, and look forward to further conversations in the future.
Guys, I've heard in the past from family members, a closed mouth does not get fed. However, there are people that were giving to the food bank who are now receiving from the food bank. And how we've got to figure out how to help them get beyond the stigma of needing food. And I see that with our students as well. And Quinn, you said something, and it's one of my favorite words, and the resilience. And I'm so ready now to say, okay, when I get paid, to take my entire paycheck and I'm just going to feed as many people as I can. But again, just thank y'all so very much. This has really been informative, and I've got so many notes here, and I'm ready. I am ready to volunteer. I'm ready to do whatever I need to do on my part and bring in friends. So I really appreciate your time and all of your efforts, and we've got to keep going. We have to remain on watch, and we have to remain resilient. So thank you very much.
I think a follow-up conversation to this is exactly that. Rise Up Richland is looking at systemic issues. There's a lot of work happening in 209, 203, from United Way to NCYEI, which is North Columbia Youth Empowerment Initiative that I serve on. So you have all these wonderful organizations that are working alongside you, looking at why are people hungry. My background is public health, so that's why I kind of try to marry the two, and it's not always easy, because we need to look at the systemic issues that Zachary was pinpointing, that it's not equitable and it's not accessible, and how can we help families, more individuals, be resilient? How can we teach them to fish? So all of those things I'm really passionate about too, and maybe that's a follow-up panel to talk about, actively looking at this and what people are doing to address those systemic issues. And I know we didn't touch on policy, but maybe the work that Zachary is doing and others can help further propel that work.
Well, I want to thank our panelists one last time for sharing all your expertise and your insights into this really important issue. As you all said, the follow-up is what's important here, is to sort of take these ideas and do something with them. And on that note, Helena, you mentioned earlier that you're going to be putting together some sort of a document. Can you just say a bit about that? How do folks get it? What should they expect?
Yeah, and I just want to, reiterate everybody's gratitude, and what a wonderful kind of gratitude feeling for Friday the 13th. But I just want to give special thanks, first of all, to all of our panelists today for joining us to talk about this really important issue, as we've highlighted. We will be compiling all of the information that we have gathered from today's panel for distribution after the close of the conference today. And we've also recorded the event. And we'll be posting links to that recording on the School of Social and Behavioral Sciences MTC, my MTC website. But for those of you that are outside of the college, we will be making that available to you, probably via email, with a link for you to be able to get to that recording and share that recording with those who were unable to make it today, because I think that even the recording will be something that will be very helpful to some of our community members and students, even if they weren't able to make it today. So thank you also to everyone who was in attendance today. It is really our sincerest of hopes and in the School of Social and Behavioral Sciences, that this conference brings some much needed awareness and help to those who need it most in our community. So again, thank you everyone. The questions, we do have a couple of questions that are in the chat. We will be taking those and we'll probably be answering those individually to you. But for those of you that will be looking for that information, we'll get that out to you shortly. Okay, thank you so much, and everybody have a great day.
Thank you.